we've come a long way building this application, but let's actually just face it. We as great coders definitely know that the progress that we make isn't just about moving forward, but it's also about looking back and fixing what it is that we may have missed. So let's sit down and look at this session where we're not just debugging, but we're fine-tuning this app to make it so bulletproof that we cannot shoot it down. And trust me, there's some small fixes in this application that will definitely make the big difference. So grab your code right now and let's make this app rock solid together. So it's overview time, ladies and gentlemen, and what we want to really focus on is the things that we may have missed within this development series. For one, if I go into all the way from the roles until maybe say even the product section, we have this little issue. And this issue is if I go to the roles list and then I come in here and click on this delete, it doesn't actually work. Next, so for all these different levels, I have this delete button not working. As you can see, for all of these, they don't work. So what we're going to do is work on that seamlessly. So once we move on to we'll start with roles as we have already have them here. We are going to open our index and then we're going to come in here and format this function and function delete with an ID, and then we move on forward. We'll just come and say that we have role is equal to role find ID. All right, so we move on to this try catch actually. So this try catch is definitely going to be just like this previous ones. We'll go to the index of the purchases. Actually, we'll just copy this delete and then we'll move to index and paste it in place of this delete function. We'll come in here and replace everything from purchases. So I'm just going to come in here and replace this with role. Import this. And then I'll come in here and say if role users, and then I'll say the count. If the count of the number of users inside roles is greater than 0, then the error that we're going to be putting up over here is this role has users. And maybe I'll come in here and take this count. And then I'll probably do, can this work? I don't know if this actually works. But now if we have this delete function right here, and then we'll come in here, role delete, and then this successfully deleted this role and we're good to go. So now in the roles index, all we just need to come in here and do is add a wire click. And we will put delete. And we'll pass in role ID. Which is good. So purchases is already good. We have this working. So now if we come in here and test the waters, as you can see, we have this. So has that. And what we will come and do inside here, you can see that this role users, when it's passed inside here, actually, let's see if this works. like that. Yeah, I think this will be fine. So now if we change that, you can see this role has one user. And then I'll come in here and I'll take this and put it here. And then I'll say it's greater than 0, ask the question, and then add the S over here. And if not, just leave it blank. And I think that's just pretty much that. I don't know if this will work actually, because I'm actually trying to check if this is greater than 0 and for it to return. But what I can actually do here is concatenate it with that. So let's try it again. Okay, I think I'll just leave it as a bracket here. And we finish that off. Like so. And of course the space is not supposed to be there, so I think that's generally how it's supposed to be. Okay, so now we move on and we try and put the same delete function inside all of these others. So we started with the roles. We'll go ahead and actually put inside our users roles. So our users table, or rather users model, sorry. Our users component, I keep on forgetting, it's a component. And then over here, instead of role, we'll come in here and do user and replace all of those. We'll bring this here. Great. Successfully deleted this user, and that's it. That's everything. Okay, that's great. Then we move on to the component itself, the UI component. And we'll just add it over here, wire click. We'll just add it there, delete. And this one is user ID. Okay, but I've opened units rather than users, so I think I'll just come in here and just do unit ID, because we're going to do this for the unit ID as well later on. So I'm just going to come in here, copy this, paste it inside here, and then change this to user. And then finish off the, yeah. Great, so essentially we're almost done here. All I just need to do is make sure that if I go ahead and test the users list, it will work. But the delete function that is supposed to be inside the users is supposed to be, oh, we did it in index, in the unit. Oh goodness. So for units, if unit, this is not supposed to be user, but unit. So I'm just going to come in here and copy this try catch. Actually copy this entire function and put it inside users. So this is the level of confusion that I'm having right at the moment. I just need to come in here, put it inside user, and this is just fine. Yeah, actually this is just fine. And then we'll come in here and say, because users they're not tied down to anything else, I'll just come in here and delete that. However, the first user is the admin, the super administrator. So if the user that is in question ID is equal to, or rather we'll just come in here and say if ID is 1, then we throw, and then we'll come and say error processing this request, this user is a super administrator. So if I come in here and try to do that, yeah, this user has is the super administrator. So we'll just keep it like that. I guess this user with ID number 1 will not be able to be deleted. Now we move on to the next one, which was the units. This one was supposed to be all units. So I'm just going to come in here and change that. And we'll just import unit. Okay, it's already imported, and we have said this unit has so unit products. So each unit has to have a product. Let's actually open the model and we see what is going on. So we'll just come in here and just do products, which is something that we did not put inside this model. And we'll come in here and say return this has many products. Yeah, I think that's that. Because if I go to the product class, we'll come and see unit this belongs to. So on the other reverse side, it will be this one has many. So yeah, that's how we'll keep it like that. So if the products are greater than 0, then we'll come in here and say this unit has products. Count products. This unit has this products, and then afterwards we delete. So if we go back to now our units list over here, we have our units list right here, which goes in tandem with everything else. Now if we come in here and we need to deal with our units list with pagination, we'll come and do it from this side over here. We'll come in here and say unit paginate, and we'll say paginate 5, or maybe say paginate 10. Then we'll come in here and say use with pagination, which imports the class or the trait. Actually, it's actually a trait, this one here. And then we'll just leave it like that. I think ordering by is not really necessary. The only thing that we will do here is we'll just add another column over here, which is number of products. And then we'll come in here and do this, and then we'll come in here and say products count. That's it. So we have 7 products with the kilogram, gram, metric ton, liter, and all these things. All these others don't have. So if I come in here and try to delete, it will delete. But now the thing about these delete buttons is that we need an on-click that actually allows us to question whether or not we want to click this to delete it. So we'll come in here and say on-click, and then we'll come and say confirm. And I see I've not even like zoomed in. I think the other videos were zoomed in. Let me zoom in on this one and make it a bit more visible for those who have smaller screens and are trying to visualize. So I apologize. Essentially. This was supposed to be. I think this was. I was coding a different project, and I thought, I was just continuing from where I was in my mind. So I'll just confirm, and then we'll come in here and say, are you sure you wish to delete this unit? It's a question. And some of these items I did capital, which should be small. So are you sure you wish to delete? I'll just put this as capital, this unit. And yeah, that's how it is. So it's either this comes true, or we pass in an event here, stop event dot stop immediate propagation. and we'll keep it like this. And I'll actually come and pass this through to the roles and the users, which I did not add. So I'm just going to come in here. I used to delete this user. And then we'll go to the roles, and then I'll come and paste this here. And I'll say, are you sure you wish to delete this role? Yes. So that's it. That's pretty much it. And that should work essentially. So if I come in here, refresh this, I want to delete this square meter. So I'll come in here, are you sure you wish to delete this unit? If I click on cancel, there's nothing that will happen. But if I come in here and click on OK, boom, so I successfully deleted this unit. So it's fine. Essentially, it is fine. So we'll just do that for every other piece. So where we did not put in our delete function, we shall put it. So for instance here, where we didn't have anything here, we'll put it here. So we'll put it in supplier. Are you sure you wish to delete this supplier? Yes, and that's how we go about it. And then we'll come in here and do a wire click. And then we'll come and say delete, oops, wire click should be equals, and then we'll put a delete. If I can write, and then we'll come and just pass in the supplier ID. And that's the function really. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just copy this all the way till here. It works the same for each and every one of these, except we'll just change one thing. So I'll come in here, and inside here we have actions. This one works, so it's all right. We'll move on to the banks. Banks is something we did not create. So we'll just come in here and replace this part here. If I hit this and then paste this here, no. Actually, I'll just paste this here. And then wherever it is that we have a supplier, wherever it is that we have supplier, we'll replace with now the one we are running with. So this one will be bank, and they're there. Yeah, and I think that's fair. Yes, I wish to delete this bank. I sure you wish to delete this bank, and then we have this here. We'll have brands. We'll go back to brands. We'll replace that. We'll replace that here. And I know we'll come in here on click. Are you sure you wish to delete this? Who? This brand. Now we'll just deal with it like that. Clients, same thing. And replace this supplier with client. And then we'll have, there are so many others that we've not done here. Credit notes, delivery notes, we've not done them. We have invoices. Invoices, we need to come in here. We already have the delete for the invoices. So the ones that are remaining here are roles. We have done roles, users, banks, clients, suppliers, then units, then brands. Then we need to do product categories, because I'm sure product categories, we don't have any function running behind that. So we need to come into product categories, and then we deal with it here. Then this one will be category, which is fine. I think we're good to go. We'll move to products over here. We'll replace this one as well. Delete this products, that's the question. And yeah, we move on to purchases as well and sales as well. But purchases and sales, I'm sure it has the delete. So we'll move. I think we're good to go. All right, so if we now run this, there's a problem, because if I click on this, it will tell us that there's no method, right? So we need to sort those ones out. So the ones we've sorted out so far are inside resources, views, Livewire admin. We have brands, clients, product categories, products, roles, suppliers, units, and users. Those are the ones that we've edited. And that's the beauty about Git, is because we can be able to know where we did the changes and where we're going to rectify them. So we have banks over here, and we will paste that function, the function of the delete. And then we'll try and replace everything that is inside here that is user. We'll replace that with bank. So I'll come in here and do, I'm sure there are many. So, and then we'll come in here and say if bank client is greater than 0, the count of bank clients is greater than 0, or, so I'm just going to copy this, and then I'll say, or bank suppliers is greater than 0, then there's error processing this request. This bank has client and suppliers. So I'm just going to come in here and copy this, paste it here. And that's how we go about that. And I think that's good to go. So if you look at this function keenly, you'll be able to tell that we're actually done with this. We can just move on forward, and we will just overview the code later on. We move on to brands, and with brands, we're able to paste this function again, which is this one. And where we have user, we replace with brand, right? So brands always have an attachment to the products. Right, so if we come in here and look at the brand over here, we have products, okay? Inside products, or rather we've come in here and say if brand products is greater than 0, then throw new exception, this brand has brand products count, and then also products. That's how we work that out. So if I come in here inside my brands list, and then I come and try to delete this Nike, it will tell me that general error, no such column, products brand ID, and so on and so forth, where products brand ID is equal to 1. So the thing about this is that my products don't have a brand ID anywhere here, right? We only have product category and also have unit ID. So we don't have brand ID anywhere here. So this is something that we also needed to fix. So we'll need to add a brand ID. And when we add brand ID, it also means that we are also going back to our seeder. We'll look at the product seeder. I'm just going to close all of these so that we'll save all these. We'll look at this, and then we'll see that the brand is actually not being dealt with over here. So what we will do instead, I think we did a seeding of brands. We have Nike, Adidas, Apple, Samsung, Coca-Cola, Sony, Tesla, Microsoft, Toyota. So what we'll just do here is, I don't want to make it as realistic all the time because, I'm just trying to fix this. So I'll just come in here and do brand ID. So I'll just, select all of these. Brand ID, and we'll just click on end. I think we're good with everything. No, we'll just go to home. Delete that. I think everywhere we are good. And then we'll do random between 1 and the count of brand all. And that's how we go about that. So brand, I'll have to bring it in from the models. That's how it is. So within our products header, I think we've done everything there. And there's not much else we can do, except inside our products, we need to also add a section where, like if we're creating this product, we need to add a brand section. So it's category and there should be brand as well. So we'll go back to that shortly. Now, going back here, we have our clients index where we need to paste that function. The function is this delete. And then we'll come in and do a replacement. And then we'll come in here and say if the client, there's items to do with the clients. If the clients have purchases, for example. Okay. So clients will purchase items from, not items, but sales. Because if you look at here, we have this part over here, bank belongs to clients. But now, clients have many sales, right? Because we are selling to the client, so sales. All right, and then we'll return this, all right, then has many. And we'll come in here and do sale class, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay. So in essence, if we go back here and we say the client sales are that, the client has sales, or we can come in here and say the client has bought from you. Over here, I'll just say time. Then we'll come in here and say sales count, of course. So there's definitely some users that we cannot delete. There's some clients that we cannot delete. So we just need to check who is it that we can delete. Is it this one? You can see that client has bought from you one time. Okay. This one, maybe this one. Yeah, this one can be deleted. So that one has not bought from us at all. And that's fine. I think we're good to go with that one. And now when we look at the clients table, we'll just come in here and add a column over here and say purchases made. All right, we'll come in here and say purchases made. And underneath here, we'll just put a TD, and we'll run this with the client sales count. And with that, we have that. So purchases made, one here, two here, and so on and so forth. And then we'll come in here and you can even say total value, total of purchases made. We can add this. You can come in here and say sum. And here we'll return the sale. And then over here we'll say return Sale total amount, and that's it. I think we need a semicolon, and boom. So we can see that here. And then what we will do here is we'll cover all of this inside a number format. And then outside of it, we'll just put a small KES, a space. And yeah, I think that is just that. I think that's fine. So if I come here, refresh, we have the total value of purchases made, total value of purchases made, or we'll call it total sale value, right? Total sale value, or total purchase value, yeah. Because we're talking about this in context of the client, so purchase value. And that's how we go about that. So now the next thing is I'm going to, down here, so the T body, I'll just do the T foot. And then here I will do TR, and then with the links. So I'll come in here and do clients, links, which is a function. And on top of that, we'll have to paginate the clients. So I'll come in here and do client paginate, or I'll just do order by. No, I'll just do paginate. And I'll paginate 5. I'll even order actually. Let me just order by, and then we'll just do this to be what? ID. And then we'll go again and say descending, so that the latest one pops up first, and then we paginate with 5, or we can even paginate with 10. And then we go back to the top of this class, and we'll say use with pagination. If we refresh this, then we have our Bootstrap working well. If I come and maybe say copy this, I want this to pop up at the bottom of the table as well. So we have one here and we have one here. So if I come in here and flick this, it works. One thing that I also need to take note of is up here we have this ID popping up. What I want to do here is I'll just use a key instead. And then we'll come in here and say key +1. That way, if I come in here and in each page it starts from 1 till 10, then we go to the next page, it goes 1 till 10, like that. But I guess ID also can suffice. I'll just leave it at ID. Maybe it's better as we leave it as ID for that particular point. Okay, so we've dealt with clients thoroughly. We need to deal with suppliers the exact same way. So I'll go to my users, or sorry, not users, but I'll go to my index for clients. I'll copy this where I have clients, and then I'll go to the suppliers and do the exact same thing, paste it here. And then instead of client, let's do supplier. And then we have purchases over here. So instead of sales, it's supposed to be purchases. So all this time we've edited the model for the sales. So we'll just come in for the client, sorry. So we'll just come in here and copy exactly what we did inside the clients, put it inside the suppliers, and change sales to purchases. So we'll go to the models, go to client, and then take sales, which is a function, put it inside suppliers, and then we'll just come in here and say purchases. And then this has many purchase class. And that's it. And we really don't have to look at it any other way at this particular point. All you just need to do is move forward. And in order for us to move forward, we need to add the same columns we added over here. So I'll add these columns, the exact same columns inside my index of the suppliers right here. And then instead of client, it's supplier. And instead of sales, it is purchases. Replace all that. And that's how we go about that. All we just need to do now is add the same exact columns. And we're not going to change the columns because the same language, the language that's used there is the same through and through. So I'll just come in here and get rid of the space. And yeah. So you can see here, we have this try-catch function that we've brought inside here in this index. And what it needs to be is it needs to be put inside the delete function. So I'll come in here and just do a function delete. And this delete passes in an ID. Paste that there, end it. And we move regardless. So if I try again over here, this is all right. This is inside suppliers. So if I go back to my, so this is clients, right? If I go back to my suppliers list, I have 5 purchases made from this supplier, and the total purchase value is this. So this is just on the basis of purchases, and then this is on a basis of sales. So the language is on perspective of first, or rather, what is it called? Is it first person? I think it's first person, yeah. So we're taking clients as first person in this particular point, and we're talking as though we are the clients. So the clients have made purchases from us, right? So they've made purchases from us, which means we've sold to them. Right. Then we have units. I believe these units shouldn't be working now. Should be working. The next thing we've not dealt with, I think, could be our brands. I'm not sure if the brands are okay. Yeah, brands may not be okay, but that's only because of the column not existing in that table. Then we have categories list. Of course, we have the categories here. If I come in here and do that, there's no method. So the categories is the next one that we need to sort out. So we'll come in here, go to product categories, and then go to the index. Then we'll paste it here. It's the same function. The only thing we'll need to do here is replace this supplier with category. Supplier becomes category. And then over here, where we have category, we'll just add products. And then we'll try and import it, product category, like that. So then we have category products, because every product has a category. So this category has dash products. Then we'll come in here and say category products count, just like that. And yeah, and everything looks good. Even this message has also changed, so that is fine. Then we have the products area, which doesn't have a deletion. So I'm just going to come in here and put this here. For supplier, need to change with the product. And to import this product, just do that. Then what we need to do here is if the product has what? I think it should be the purchases or sales, really. If this product has been purchased or sold at any one given point, then it cannot be deleted. So I'll just come in here and do product purchases or product sales is greater than 0. Then this product has been bought from or sold from. I'll say this product has been, let me just use simple language. This product has been bought, or, and we can actually get things done with this system. Think we can actually look at so many different things that have been done in this system. Now I know that purchases is done. I know that quotations has been done. I know everything underneath this list, underneath here. So overview, purchases, sales, orders, quotations, invoices, credit notes, delivery notes. So the credit notes and the delivery notes have not yet been done, and we've not really maneuvered on how it is that we're going to sort that one out. But I know now that we have all these others having been completed. So units, I know units, the units list, if I can go and delete, I'll delete. We have the brands. I can go and deal with that, and it's all right. Then we have the product categories, and then we have the products, which is all good. Again, if quotations can be deleted or made whenever we want to make them. So I think this is just fine in terms of however it is that we want to have them. So I'm just going to come here, close all these. We've saved everything. And now we're going to talk about one particular feature in this application called roles. Now, inside roles, we don't necessarily have all the backing, right? If we come in here and look at what we're dealing with when it comes to roles, we're just dealing with a table that states a role and it's attached to one particular user through this particular system over here. So you come in here and we have this part over here. We have the users table and also have the roles table, and then we have the role user pivot where we have a user being declared for a role, and they can have more than one role in this particular situation based off of this table, which is fine. But now when we are dealing with roles, we need to also have permissions set up. So in order for us to set up those kinds of permissions, I'm going to do a method of mine which involves like plainly just dealing with crafting these ones out from scratch. I'm not going to go ahead and use a package, okay? Because I know Sparty's Laravel permission package is one way to go. And what this package does is it allows for users to have roles and permissions based off of all those different things. But the thing about this is I'm not willing to create roles and permissions to be a dynamic feature. Roles can be dynamic, but then with those roles, you assign specified permissions within the particular application. And the reason why I say that is because permissions shouldn't be dynamically created inside a particular application that can only perform a set number of functions. You need to identify, first of all, this set number of functions in this system, and then actually create permissions based off of those set permissions and those set functions. So, for example, we go out into our roles over here, right? And we can see that the set number of routes as we release this application is defined here. All right, it's all defined here. We look at all these different functions. All right, we have the units, we have the suppliers, we have the sales, the roles, the quotations, the purchases, the products, the product categories, the orders, the invoices, the delivery notes, credit notes, clients, brands, banks, users, and then the account summary, accessing the account summary and accessing the dashboard. So there's those essential stuff that we can see. Then we have also generating the invoice, generating the quotation, generating the order, and then also, dealing with all those different kinds of things. So in order for us to know what permission we're going to be assigning these particular people, we don't create permissions based off of, just creating just for the sake, all right? We have one particular user or one particular role that will always take all the permissions that are going to be available in the system. But those set permissions that are already available in the system need to already be declared hard-coded wise. So this is what I'm going to do, okay? In order for us to participate in this, we're going to come into our config and we're going to create a file. And this file, I'm going to call it permissions.php. And just like the way we do app over here and return these different arrays of values or associated arrays of values, Inside my permissions file over here, I'm just going to come in here, do this PHP. I've forgotten how to start PHP files. My goodness. It's been that long. It's been that long since I did hard-coded PHP. Actually, I'm right. All right. So we'll move on like this, and then we'll come in here and do return. And then on return, we're just going to come in here and set the permissions. I'm just going to, let me not deal with it like that. So we're just going to come in here and set the permissions, all right? Inside here, inside the permissions, we'll just come in here and say permissions. And then we'll come in here and declare the permissions like so. Okay, so we have our routes, and that's where we start from. So I'm just going to come in here and open my routes right here. Actually, they're here. I'm going to open them to the side. So we'll start with manage users or manage roles. Okay. Then we'll just set them aside as commas. So we started with users, manage roles. Then we'll go to manage users. Then we'll go ahead and manage banks. Then we'll go ahead and manage brands. Then we'll manage clients. Then we'll manage suppliers. Then we'll manage. So this is just generally CRUD. Manage is just CRUD, essentially. All right. So we have manage clients, manage suppliers, manage. We have credit notes, delivery notes, invoices, delivery notes, credit notes, invoices. Then we'll come to, after invoices, we have orders. We have product categories. Then we'll come and start with products. We'll come and move to purchases, sales. After purchases, and then after sales, then we'll move to quotations. Then we'll deal with the last one, which is units. I think we've done units. We've not done units, so units. So that's how we go about that. We have this as the starting point, and we'll just deal with it like that for now. The next thing we're going to be doing here is we'll go to our database migrations. We'll go to roles, the roles table. Now inside the roles table, I'm going to come in here and create a column. And this column will be a JSON column. Okay, and then we'll just label it as permissions. And I wish for it to be nullable so that, like, let's say, for example, if we create a role without permissions, then that will be that. So we have our roles over here for super administrator, right? And with these roles for the super administrator, we have a way of dealing with it. We go ahead and come in and say, we can attach all these different things, all right? So we'll come and say permissions. And then we'll come here and attach JSON. JSON what? JSON decode or JSON encode? I think it's JSON encode, because we have an array and we want to change it to JSON. Then we'll come in and say config. Then we'll come and take permissions like that. And I'm not sure if it will take the array like that, but let's see what happens. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to come in here and try it out. Let's try it out right now. So I'm just going to do PA migrate or PA MFS. And you can see in permissions.php line 24, it was expecting a closing So I'm just going to go back to config, permissions. Yeah, it was definitely expecting it to close over here and close over here as well. No, it wasn't expecting a close over here. It was expecting a close at the very end. Okay, now we'll try again. And it should work this time. I think we're good to go. The roles table is done, so that means that everything is good there. So now if that is good, then we'll go back to our SQLite, and then we'll be able to see that inside our database, database.sqlite, and if we go inside roles, we have permissions, we have manage roles, manage users, manage banks. Yeah, and that's the JSON format that we were looking for. Now, the one thing that we probably haven't looked at generally is after we edited our products table, we need to also add that into our product section where we change the brand. So in order for us to go ahead and do that, we'll just go back to Livewire. We'll go to products, create. Then over here, we'll come and add a column over here. So we'll just come in here and say product brand ID. Okay. And then we'll go to this point over here. And then where we have our product, the product select, we'll come and maybe put this, we'll take this and put it in a column MD6. Dot column 12. And then we'll paste this here. And because we needed 2 of these, so I'm just going to come in here, paste this here, paste that here, and then we'll paste this here, but then instead of using product category, we'll say product brand. And then we'll come in here and say brand ID. And yeah, then we move on. So we have select your product category, or select your brand actually. So select your brand. And then we'll come in here and do brands as brand. So now category here and category there, change. Brand ID, brand name. And then we have here brand ID. And that's how we go about that. So now the only way we need to make this work is in here, we'll just need to add a comma right here. Start this with brands, brand all. Like that. And now when we go to our application right here, if we go to products, create product, of course we need to start again. Right, so we have this. So this is the category and this is the brand. Which is good. So now we move on forward, and in order for us to move on forward, we need to account for the edit function as well. So what we just need to go ahead and change is how we tackle that, and that is only going to be done with I don't know why this div is like this. Oh, okay, so just take that, take all of this, paste it inside the edit in place of this part over here, and I think we're good with that. We're good with this one. And then inside edit, we just need to add those 2 things that we've added. So the brands and the new column over here. So I'll just go back to the edit, add it here. Yeah, and I think that we're good now. I think we're good now. Yeah, so all we just need to do here is copy this. And yeah, I think we're good to go now at this point. So yeah, we can see that this permissions.php, it works perfectly. If we need to add any more permissions, we'll add those permissions. And then when we are creating, we'll create on a basis of these particular permissions. If we're using any middleware, we'll use the middleware based off of these permissions. So in order for us to create those kinds of middleware at this particular point, all we just need to do now is in middleware is a tricky situation actually, because what we used to have before is that when we create middleware, we create it and then we register it inside the kernel, inside, I think it was inside HTTP, and then there was a kernel that we registered these items in. But nowadays, I think, I don't even remember where it is that we're registering middleware. So I'm just going to come in here and check Laravel middleware. So middleware is interesting. So we can come in here defining middleware, where we create the make middleware, and then when registering, we come inside our bootstrap app.php. So we'll come in here, we'll go to bootstrap app.php, and then we register the middleware over here. Makes sense. And we'll just go ahead and do it. So we'll come in here and check the middleware. So we'll just come in here and do p make middleware, and then we'll come in here and say check permission. Great. So the check permission middleware is here in app http middleware check permission. Okay. And then now inside over here, we have this public function handle where we have the request that comes in, the closure, and then after the closure is where we're going to add the permission. All right. So just come in here and say permission, which is now another variable that will be passed in through this to handle. And then what we will do here is we will come in here and say maybe if, all right, we'll come and just do something like maybe an authentication check. Okay, so we'll come and do an authentication check. So auth comes in from Illuminate support facades, I think. Yeah, Illuminate support facades, check. We'll do an auth check. So if this person is not authenticated, or if this authenticated user, all right, if this authenticated user, normally we, instead of even importing this, actually I'll just use the helper function so that we just minimize the code. So we'll just do an auth check. Okay. And if this user is not authenticated, and this check function should be working. I don't understand why it's saying undefined. But if it's undefined, then it's fine. Auth from here, check. And if this person is not authenticated, or if this authenticated user, okay, and I'm going to use a has permission function with the permission. All right, so this has permission function has not yet been created. So has permission, so auth user has permission, and then we'll go ahead and come in here and say we abort. So abort with 403, which is a forbidden. So I'll come and say unauthorized to access this side, something like that, or unauthorized, just like that. And if that now that check goes through, then we'll just say return return next. And because this is a closure, it's usually a closure function, and what it is expecting to pass in here is the request. So I'll just come in here and do the request. And that's usually a default way to handle permissions. But now we don't have the has permission function inside our users model, because this is actually checking the users model. So we need to come in here inside our models. We go to our users table. Our very bottom, I think I'll just come in here and do a function. And the function is has permission, which passes in the permission. Now this function, as we have created it, is a way that I'm going to go ahead and structure this has permission item. And the only way to go about it is by coming here and say, first of all, we have the role. But we have many roles for this particular user. So we'll come in here and say for each, all right? For each, this roles, all right? And we won't do anything else as role, all right? And then we'll come in here and say permissions. We'll come and say JSON, because this role particularly has a JSON for permission. So JSON decode. So we'll come in here and just do JSON decode, and then we'll say role permissions. Like that. Don't know, I can't type. And then true. Okay. So now this decode is passing in the JSON string, all right? And then we need it to be an associative array, all right? So that's why we've passed it in as true, so that it comes out as an associative array. So now that we have our permissions, okay? Now that we have our permissions, and this should be like this. Now that we have our permissions, all you just have to do here is if in array. All right, so now that it's associative, what we just need to do is if in array, we need to put in the needle. The needle here is the permission, and the haystack is the permissions themselves. So permission is this one, and then permissions is this one here. So the needle is permission, which is coming in like this, and then the haystack is permissions over here. So return true. Now return false. So if all this comes true, then it will come in as true, and the function will end. But if if false, then returns false. And just like that, now we can start setting in our different permissions within our routes. For instance, if I come in here and I did something like inside our resources views, sorry, not in resources views, but routes web. And then I come in here and do something like, I don't know, but the thing is, we've not even registered our middleware. So we'll come in here and register our middleware as follows. So we'll come in here and say middleware append, but there's append, all right? So appending is, there's different ways of putting our middlewares. So middleware alias, that is what we want to do. So we'll come in here into the with middleware, and we'll come in here and just take the alias. All right. So with middleware, the alias is here. We'll come and take the alias of permission, and then we'll come and say permission, check permission class, like that. Check permission class. And then once we take that alias out to the routes, we'll go to the routes, we'll go to web, and then we will go ahead to start declaring in each and every one of these. So over here where we have the different prefixes, right? So we have prefix users. We'll come and add middleware, all right? And then with this middleware, we'll come and say permission. And then we'll add a colon to denote that we want to pass in, a permission that is enabled within here for the users. So manage users. Okay. So once that is done, we can come inside our application over here. We go to let's go to our users list. And you can see unauthorized to access this side. And the reason why is a probable misspell over here. So if I come in here and look at our... So I've candidly just disabled each and every single part over here. So I removed the middleware and just to try and trace back whatever it is that I need to be able to be doing. So in order for me to trace that, I will use it in the UI instead, so that we can be able to get down to knowing what it is that needs to be done. Now, I'll go to my resources views, and then I'll go to my components to look for my sidebar navigation. And this is where I'll actually put down the routes. So if I come in here, and then I'll come and say, I'll put an if statement. If the authenticated user has the permission of being able to, now this one is for the roles. So manage roles, then boom, then we can actually see the roles on the list. So we'll just come in here and refresh this. You can see the permissions are actually there. Permissions are actually working. So they have the permission of managing the roles. So we can manage permissions like this actually. So if I come in here, I'll drag this down, manage users. I'll copy it down also over here, manage banks. And then inside the CRM, manage clients. Inside here, we have manage suppliers. Down here inside the product management, we have managing units, brands, then product categories. Then we have the products themselves. Then we have the sales, orders. Then we have quotations. Then we have invoices. We have credit notes. We have the delivery notes. And then what I'm going to do here is, since we have those different ones, they're all the same in their own right everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this endif. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come in here, select all of these, press up, and then end if. And I'm pretty sure they're all missing an end if. Except for the last one, of course, because the last one we're going to be doing it ourselves. And yeah, that should be working. So I'll run this. And there's an end if over here before the dashboard, which is insane. Great. So these permissions, this has permissions function works. So the has permission function works, which means it should work also in the check permission. All right. I think I understand what has been happening, right? So if you notice what I've done here, I'm checking if the authenticated user is there, and if he's not, or if he has the permission. So this is the problem. I need to put a not over here, and that's why we need to sort things out. So I think that's where we were. So knowing that that was the situation, I think I can also go back to the web routes and then return the middleware that I created earlier. This one is permission, manage users. And then all of these all have permissions. So I'm just going to come in here and add this where we have name, no, the prefix actually. I think the prefix usually comes in, I don't know how to go about this. But I think I'll just click on the ones that I need to edit. So I'll click on this one, and then I'll alt click so that I can select this one as well. Select this one, this one, paste this. And then we added the permissions one by one. So this one is, of course, to edit the units, manage units. This one is to manage the suppliers. This one is to manage sales, manage roles, manage quotations. Then we have managing the purchases, products, categories. And this one is not just any categories, but product categories. Then we have managing orders, invoices, delivery notes, credit notes. We have the clients, brands, user banks, and we also have now our users. So essentially now, when we look at this, our permissions are ready. So if I come in here and refresh this, we have everything ready. But then now our roles need to be able to create those items while adding those permissions into the system. So what we're going to do here is, we're going to either have a multiple select, a place where we can select multiple roles, or we're going to do a search bar. And inside this app, Livewire and roles, where we have the create function over here, we're going to come in here inside our render. We're going to pass in some data. The data here is permissions. Now, actually, it's not going to be permissions per se. In fact, we already have the permissions in the system. All we just need to do here is we need to have those permissions laid out for us in our search. So we have to have a public search variable, which is going to be initialized as an empty string. All right. And actually, we're just going to do string search. We can do it like that. So we'll come and do a string search like so. And then we'll deal with it inside here, our roles create. We'll come and place the search right underneath here. So we'll come in here and do permission search. So we'll just come in here and say permissions. And then we'll come and say Y model live. Here we'll come and say search. And the type will be text. The form is form control, name, all those different things. Search your permission. Search your permission. And then over here, this one, the error should always be with the search. All right, and then after that, we can actually do this. We can, underneath this search, instead of having MB3, margin bottom 3, we will, okay, we can have the margin bottom 3, which is not bad, really. But also underneath the input is where we need to put our list items. And this one is a list group. And this one will be, let me see, a list group. I'm going to look for a list group, but I can't find this list group. So you can see list group and list group horizontal. And then for each item here, if we look at this part over here, we can see the items are listed down horizontally if we want it to be horizontal. But we can put a list group that is vertical, and we have these vertical items. And maybe we can leave one to be list group item active, like so. Or we can actually put it like this. We can put list group item, and then we'll come in here and do an ME, M and auto, which is a class. So we'll just do, maybe say small dot me auto, and just put a plus, maybe something like that. Maybe not me but ms. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe we'll just do a deflex. That pops up at the end over here. And then over here, what we will do here is, instead of a small, we'll just do a btn, which is a button, and then close off the button. Inside this here, instead of doing this, we'll just do an i.bi.bi plus. And the class is also going to be btn.btn primary. Now, thing about this is also we can do our btn, maybe say btn. No, actually, we can do primary. Then on doing primary, every time this loads up, we can click it. And then we deal with the permissions as follows, right? So even in this, in the light of this, we can actually make this into a column of MD6, right? So we'll come in here and put this as column MD6 dot column 12, and we'll drag everything that is in here back up here. We'll now then also come and copy this. So this one will be Alt Shift, and then we'll just drag it down with Alt. And yeah, we close the div, and inside this div we paste whatever it is that we had. And then this list item is always going to be for each loop. So I'm just going to come in here, and this list group will be for each. And then with this for each, we're going to have our roles that are coming in from this search. So I'll come in here and say roles. Oh, sorry, not roles, but permissions. As permission. And once we have that permission there, we'll come in here, and this button, so this item here is supposed to be maybe a H5, and come and do a H5 here, and then we'll just do the permission. And then we just spread it out like this. So yeah, that's how we're going to work this out. And that's only if there are permissions. So the only way we can know for sure that there are permissions is if the permissions, actually the permissions usually come in from the config, right? So we'll come in here and we'll also declare permissions. And this one will be an array, I believe. So public array permissions is an empty array. So we'll work on it as we move on forward. Now we also have this items here as column MD6, column 12, column MD6, column 12. This is fine. I don't know why they're not lining up side by side. They should be lining up side by side. Unless it's because also we have not declared the row class as the parent class for that one. So that's how we go about that. Yeah, there we go. So here for permissions, all you just need to deal with here, this is search, name is search, ID, this one's for the ID, and the array described by, we just get rid of those. Type, I don't know if there's a type for search. Yeah, there is. So yeah, there's a type for search. All right, so now I think we're good to go on how we're going to go about this. The next thing we need to sort out also is the permissions themselves. So I need to deal with the Bootstrap 5 card pills. And not these ones. Not card pills, but actually the badge pills. Yeah. And I'll deal with it, text BG success, like that. So the pills are going to be looking a little bit more like this. But I need a round pill badge. MD, LG, I think LG is good. No, I think that class doesn't exist. Okay, I keep on forgetting that that class is not, these classes are predefined. So now here, these pills are going to be popping up underneath this div. In a row format actually. So I want it to be inside the row class, but just outside so that it can pop up like across all of them. And then, so this is the class for the row. And then for each of these, maybe we'll just do a dot column MD, maybe say MD2 or column 2 actually. We can do a column 2. And then paste this there. And now we have our pills as follows. But these pills are not so big. I wouldn't feel like they're so big as such. But let's leave them like this for now, and then we deal with the list group as follows. So every time we click on something to add, we'll add it. And then if it's already inside the array, don't add, or actually throw something. All right. So we have functions like add to list and then subtract from list. So add to list, and that's a function here. And also have subtract from list. So these two, subtract from. So these two are functions that are going to be used and utilized very diligently. As we move on forward, we're going to use this search, right? And to utilize this search, I'm just going to come in and maybe say for each of the permissions that are actually available. So we'll come in here and say config, and then we'll come and do permissions as permission. And then we'll come and say if, let's say, this search so if this search is like the, you know, has characters that are similar to the permissions, right? So I think what we're going to do here is word search. All right, so we're just going to come in here and take this search right now. And I've just found this function that can work. So str contains. So we're just going to run with str contains. The haystack in this situation will be the permission. All right, and the needle is the search. And once we do that, I'm just going to come in here and say this permissions, and then we'll do that, and then is equal to, we'll just come in and do permission, like so. Yeah, so now we just need to test it out. If I come in here and refresh this, we have them all right here. So I'll say if this search is not equal to an empty string and that contains that, then we refresh this, and then I'm going to come in here and say manage rules. So now you can see it's always adding the items back into the system. So what we need to do here is we'll start with the permissions as an empty. And once we start with the permissions as an empty within this for each loop, that's when now things start to change. So now we'll come and say manage if we type in roles, yeah. But this one always goes to the particular last one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it outside the for each loop. And if you can start it out, that's okay. Yeah, this one is, it's a bit more complex than I thought. I think this is not the way I should be handling this. Okay, so let's deal with it like this. All right, instead of working it out like this, I have my data here, right, which is this config. This data is like this. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to filter it in such a manner that is is a bit different. We have this filtered data, right? And instead of going to this permissions, right, is equal to, so we're going to work with these permissions being equal to config permissions dot permissions, like so. So such that if we come in here and refresh this, we refresh this and get rid of this, we have the permissions listed down as follows, which is all right. And in fact, now that we've also come and done that, we can even come and do list group horizontal. We can see what happens here. Yeah, this is a bit damning to the UI. And then also again, this search, this UL is listing these items very big. So I think we'll just come in here and get rid of this H5. At this point will be okay. And I think I'll put a class over here. I think there was a class over here that used to work. Table hole or something like that. No, it doesn't work here. Okay, so we have all these permissions being listed down, but we want to be able to filter based off of the typing over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to loop this. Actually, I'm just going to come in here and say filter data. Actually, in fact, I'm going to just work this out like this, and then I'll come in here and say actually filtered data is going to be equal to we're going to use the array filter function. Okay, well, we pass in the array, and this array is going to be this permissions. And now on passing in these permissions, we come in here, we can do a callable. So we'll do a function where we're passing in, let's say, the permission. Okay. And then inside this function, of course, we're going to close it off with the semicolon, and then we'll come in here and say return, and then we can say, maybe say strip position, or rather we can actually say return str contains. All right, and then we'll pass in the permission, and then we'll come in and pass in this search. Okay. And now I'm just thinking about it like this. Okay, so if the array, we filter the array to get items that are, not, they're all within this revaluation, and it's not going to return false. It can return anything but false, right? And then after that, we can now return down the filtered data. Let's say we return the filtered data at this particular point. Okay, or we can come in here and say permissions. No, not permissions. Filtered permissions. And then we'll run it with this filter data. Right, so that's how we'll run this so far at this particular point. When we come back here, we'll come in here and say for each filtered permissions as permission, and let's see how this runs. As you can see, this works. So now, now I want this to be as though the search item is not returning true. So this is the only way we can deal with it like this. So we'll come in here and put filtered data outside as an empty array. And then we'll come in here and, you know, maybe say if, all right, if this item is not empty, the search, right? Okay, and we can only do this with strings and numeric values, I think. Then we can pass in now the filter. We can now filter based off of everything. And yeah, I think that works quite fine. And now that we have everything set, we can come in here and let's refresh this. And now if we come in here and say roles, we can add that. Permissions. I can do, I don't know. Units and all that stuff. Great. So now that we have that set, we can come in here and we go to the create, and each of these pills are going to pop up on a basis of the selected list group, or the added list added to the list group. All right. So this plus button is always going to be an added. All right. So wire click. Add to list, and then it's going to pass in the permission itself. So it passing in the permission itself, we're going to come in here and on this add to list over here, we're going to come in here and do permission. And inside this add to list where we've passed in the permission, we're going to come in here and say selected permissions. So public array selected permissions, which is an empty array at the moment, so that this function, whatever function we're going to use afterwards, is going to work. And yeah, so once we add to list this permission, we have to check first of all if in array and we're going to check if it's an array, and then we're going to pass in the needle. The needle is the permission we're passing in here, and the haystack is this selected permissions. Then if that is the situation, then we're going to come in here and say a little something like we throw a new exception, and then we come in here and say error processing request, permission already added. And then if that's not the case, then we'll come in here and say this selected permissions is equal to permission. And we close that off. Now to subtract from the list, all we just need to do is get the key, all right? The key of this particular item that is in the array. And then what we need to do here is we'll come in here and use array splice. So that we'll take in the array, which is this selected permissions. All right. And then we'll take the offset. The offset is indeed the key. And then we will come in here and the length will be 1. And that's it. Normally the length is not defined, so this length always has to be defined. Great. So those are the functions that need to run. In this situation now that we are here is we're going to come in here and take one of these pills and actually try and test it out. So in order for us to test it out, we'll just have to do a for each loop here. And this for each loop will come in here and say selected underscore permissions as permission. And then we'll paste this here. We'll pass in the permission as required. And then we will come in here. Instead of text bg success, I think I'll do bg and v primary. Okay, so now once we've dealt with it like this, I think everything will work fine. So I'll come in here and just do manage roles. If I click on this, it should give me something. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. Oh, and then again, also, I want to wrap this inside a try catch. So this try catch, I'll put it in like this. And then down here, I'll use whatever it is that I use normally. Just dispatch. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll do another try catch, wrapping this one around it as well. I'll come in here and just do try. And then we're trying this as we catch the error and display it. Yeah, and I think that should be just that. I think everything that is required is already set in stone. So now in the point where we are saving, before we even save this role, you can see that our area where we have the role title is already procured. But now where we have the selected permissions is where things have to change. So we'll come in here and just do this role permissions is equal to, now we'll come in here and say JSON encode. Okay, well, JSON encode, And then we'll come and drag in this selected permissions. And then save it, and we have to return back to index, which is just fine. Let's try this now with the filtered permissions. If we do manage rules, you can see they pop up right here. What I want is, instead of bginv primary, I'll do bginv secondary. Yeah, so they look good. They look good so far. So now upon selecting, which is supposed to be with this selected permissions, and then we have select this selected permissions is permission. What I'm going to do instead is array push, and then we pass in the array this selected permissions, and we'll push in the permission. Okay, let's try this now. I click on this. It should have added this already. But it's not working. And that's how we lose that completely. But we were onto something. We were really onto something. Because we have the filtered permissions. When we click on the filtered permissions, it should trigger these particular functions that are running in the back. Like this particular function, wire click add to list. Is it wire click, or it should be wire click add to list? And let's look at this. Okay, so on this part for add to list, this function here, what if we dispatch this event outside here inside the add to list while we comment this out to test whether or not this button is capable of running? So we'll come in here, this dispatch event done, and then we'll come in here and say test complete. And then we'll say success. These buttons do not work. Essentially, these buttons, the way they're supposed to work, they're not working. Probably something in the UI over here that is preventing these buttons from working. So I've gotten to a point where I'm just changing a few things here, and it looks like if I do add to and click on this, okay, so if I come in here and refresh and then I just do, then you can see add to not found on the component. But what if I decided I just did add to list? If I click on this, you can see unable to resolve dependency, parameter 0 required permission in class, which is okay. So now I'll come in here and pass in the function. And now at this point, it doesn't run whatsoever. That doesn't run either. What the hell is this? Why is it not working? Oh, it's not working. But what if I tried to do this? I used the bigger quotes, closed it off like that, and then I covered these with maybe say standing quotes like this. Yeah, maybe like that. Maybe that should probably work. Let's try. So adding is not being called. So add. The permission has already been added. You can see we have them there. Oh, this is good. This is good stuff. Now that we have these added, we're going to see if they've already been added inside the selected. So if I'm just going to do bg inv secondary, test this out, and I'm just going to put an if statement inside here, if, and then I'll do end if. And then inside this if, I'll put this there, BGI and V secondary. And then I'll say if this, in array selected, in array, then the array is selected, selected permissions. So if in array selected permissions and the permissions that we're selecting are perm, then what? So if in array selected permissions perm, then BGI and V secondary disabled, which is fine. Okay, so this one needs to switch to this one, and then we work it out from there. You can see the BGI and V secondary disabled is there, so I can't click on this anymore. Neither can I click on this, neither can I click on this. And that's exactly what I wanted actually. So if they are selected, then that should be disabled. Brands, banks, users, manage products, manage purchases, sales, manage units. And that is administrator. Now on these pills, I should be able to click on maybe say 1 to subtract. Then I'll just do span, wire, click, and I'll run the key right here. Actually, I don't even need the key here. I'll just need it here. And then I wire click, then I'll say subtract. And I think I'll run it the exact same way I did the other one. So I'll just come in here and say subtract, and then something like that. And I'll put an X inside here, maybe to, or a capital X, maybe to appease the situation. So I'll come and add rules. If I'm able to click on this, it goes back. Excellent. And then since it's a span here, so I'll just do BT button, or I'll do an A tag with a href of JavaScript void. Then the wire click subtract, close the A tag, and then inside this A tag over here, I'll come and do so I'll come and this is very difficult. Inside here, this A tag that we have over here, actually the span, this is i.bi.bi. What we're going to do with this, let's look at the index. Then we'll look at bi trash. So just to bi trash fill. Yeah, so that's how we're going to go about this. Brands, I have this clickable, so I can delete them if I want. So just to have a look, an overview of how it works. Manage users, manage banks, clients, suppliers, invoices, like that. And then the role is administrator. So manage roles, manage users I'll get rid of. And yeah, now once we do that, we click on save. All right. So that actually works. We found a way. To work it out. And to think that the issue was this part over here, where we, instead of running this function, the way we'd run like normal delete functions, it's supposed to actually have a different say over here. It's supposed to run in a string in this particular part over here, because I think that's how we declared everything when it came to the functions itself. I think everything is set very well. So these are void functions. They're all good. They're all working. And when we create it works very well. So what about editing? So editing is the part that really is going to bug most of us. So in terms of editing, I'm just going to copy these functions right here that are inside the roles, and then I'm going to paste them inside this part over here. Yeah, I think the add and the subtract are the only things that I'll be adding over here. Then we'll look at this part for the create, where we put the search in, and then we will paste them here. So we have the search, the permissions, and the selected permissions. And then when we come in here and we found our ID, we'll come in here and say the selected this selected permissions is equal to, and then what we will do here is we'll take this role and we'll take the permissions and we'll wrap it inside a JSON decode. Now watch this, yeah? If we come in here and we want to edit this, it should be popping up inside here. So we just come in here and take this, the entirety of this create, put it inside the edit just as equal. Create a new role inside edit. We'll come in here and we'll say edit this role. Right, so now we refresh this and we have filtered permissions not being ready. And where we need this is from the create, we have a place where we were filtering our permissions like a search. We'll put this exact same thing inside edit. And this as well, where we have the data coming in. And once we do that, I think we'll be ready. So you can see our permissions are all here. The role title is over here. So if we come in here and we manage to, and then the last thing is also, once we update, to update means that we are going to come in here, take this, put it inside here. So we're editing the selected permissions as according to this. So we come in here, we remove managing of brands, credit notes, delivery notes, product categories, orders, banks, products, and units. We'll delete all of those. Save this, and we can see there are only 5 remaining. So that's how we manage roles and permissions. And now once we try as much as we can to create a user, let's create a user, name him Steve Nyanumba, enter the email address here. We need to also have to define the roles. So we've not defined any roles for this particular user. So in order for us to define the roles for users, we'll go back here. Let me just close this. So roles, we are done with them. We're done with roles. And then we'll move on to try to deal with roles in this particular fashion. We have users here. We have our create. Okay. When we look at our create, we need to actually be able to have roles, right? We have to have roles. So we're going to pass them down over here. Then we'll come in here and say roles is equal to role all. And this is going to be passed in through the model. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to import it like that. And then inside our users create, we only have the name and the email. So we're just going to come in here and do dot column md6 dot column 12. And then we'll just do a select bootstrap 5 form select, or we'll do multi-select this time. And then we'll just do label for roles, select multiple, and then over here we have the option selected over here. And then what we will do here is our statement. Please select the roles you wish to assign. Something like that. Or please select the roles. Just leave it like that, just for user simplicity. Then we'll come and do a for each loop. As for each loop is here. We'll come and do roles as role. Paste this here. We'll come and put up a value. And the value here will be role ID. And here will be role title. And then we end that for each and we finish it off like that. Now the only thing we need to add here is the wire model, which is going to be equivalent to the roles that we're going to be selecting here. So in order for us to have our roles, I'm just going to come in here and do public roles. At this point, it will be probably an empty array. So yeah, like that. And then what we'll come in here to do is we'll make it a requirement that we put these items there. So we'll come in here and just put roles required, which is supposed to be an array of roles. Then we'll have this user is equal to new user, validate, and then this validated. Once we save, we'll come in here and just say this roles attach, right? This user would have maximized actually. So this user roles, and roles will be a function. Then we'll come and do attach. Then we'll say this roles. Boom. Like so. Clockwork. It's actually clockwork. Now we'll just we'll just leave it like that. So whenever we're creating these users, we have to have the roles listed down over here. We'll save this and we'll say our model roles over here. Refresh. We don't have our roles listed down over here, which is very interesting why these roles are not being listed down over here. Is it role name? Or should we just try and look at it from here? We'll just do a for else then. And then when it's empty, we'll just leave it without. Then we'll say no roles and for else. So it's saying that we have no roles. And both of these values here, this one should be disabled. And then this one should just disappear altogether. I don't see a reason why it should be there. So no roles, which is funny actually. It's quite funny because we have roles here. There's some roles that are here. These are the roles. So if I come in here into the users create and they tells us that we don't have roles, that's actually quite funny. It's behaving weirdly. Then form group here should have an MB3. So you can see we have this and we have them listed down over here. But then when it comes to here, it's not returning anything to do with the roles here. Oh, and that's because of this part over here. So whenever we're declaring roles over here, we shouldn't be expecting that we have roles like this. These roles that have been declared at the very top are supposed to be selected roles. And the roles that we put down here, we attach these selected roles, like so. So this part over here should be fine. If we just come in here and say roles as role. And that's where the problem was lying. So I think we're now good to go. So I have the super administrator and the administrator. We can select both of them if we want. So, but this person, I want him to be super, just an admin, name, And you can see no property found for validation roles. So this one should be selected roles. And yeah, I think that should be it. No property found for validation roles. We'll come in here and check this out. So this one will be selected roles required. I'll select this. Let's wait to see if anything happens. The email also, maybe this one. No, this one has already been taken. Maybe that. And then we'll select this, save, and we'll wait for the error to show up or to pop up. All right, so there's no error because in particular, whatever it is that was happening is it was sending the email. So that's why it took so long to send that request in particular. Now we have this role for the administrator. If we come in and again and let's go to our mail trap and try to log in as this different person, of course we have this email that has come in, right? So if we come in and maybe I'll use my Brave browser to try and check out what WAG1. So inventory app tutorial.test. We'll log in and then we'll use this credentials. So I'll come in here and use this. So my email is this one, the password is this one, and then we'll log in. You can see it's limited on the number of items I can use or the number of things that I can do. I can come to the dashboard, which is fine. Everyone can come to the dashboard. But I can't come and see the overviews. I can't see the sales list is there, invoices is here, but overviews is obviously controlled. So you can see, and then there's some few things over here that need to be also sorted out, which is great, which is fine. So this is how we control that. And then even if I want to come in here and say users, I can't manage users. So roles and permissions, I believe we've completed them, and assigning them to users, I also think we've completed them. So now all we just need to come in here and do, we need to also put this in the edit. So in order for us to put them in the edit, we'll come in and copy everything that's in the users essentially, paste it inside the edit, change this to edit this user. So if we come in here and click on edit, of course, we're going to have a few issues here. So edit this user. Then when we go to the edit on this side, we're just going to come in here and do exactly what we've been doing here. Copy this, paste it here. This user is user find ID, and then the selected roles are supposed to be the selected, the user's roles. So I'm going to come in here and say this selected roles is equal to this user roles, and I only want to get the ID, so I'm forgetting the formula on getting this ID, the ID of this. I'll come in here and maybe say, I think I remember it was posts pluck ID. That's the column, and we just delete it like that. And then when we come here into the viewpoint, we'll come in here and just look at part over here where we have the rules. We'll drag them in here and import that. Great. Yeah, so this essentially should work just like that. We have this also, this user roles attach, this selected roles. So when we come here to click on update, we'll come in here first of all to detach and then to reattach. So we'll come here and then we'll say detach. What happens is if it goes null, it detaches all the models from the relationship, and then we'll reattach. So yeah, that's what's going to go on and happen. So let's test this theory. Let's test this out. So if I come in here, I don't want this person to be administrator, I want him to be a super administrator only. So then I'll come in here. This email has already been taken. So the thing about this is that the email needs to be unique to users, email accept. Well, we'll talk of maybe the current user that is also being spoken about. So we'll come in here and we have this user ID over here that's being passed through the mount. So we'll come here and maybe say the unique function. The unique function, I need to concatenate it. Maybe I'll concatenate it with the user ID, which makes it so that we don't check with this current user's email. So we'll come in here and say, this user ID, just fine. And I think if I come in here and save this now, should be okay now. So both of these are super administrators. But now I'll come in here and change the role. Now we'll be working. So that's how we work with edit and create and all those different methods for roles and permissions as well. We've done it. So yeah, that's essentially how we're going to go about everything. Now the next thing we're going to attempt to do is to fix our UI when it comes to these issues that are coming up with the navigation bar. I'll give you an example. I'll give an instance. When we are looking at our, let's say for example, our create supplier, and then we try and click on roles over here, this will not work. It will not drop down. On the contrary, if we come to admin LTE 4, okay, this is admin LTE v3, but we have the admin LTE v4. All right, so we have admin LTE version 4 over here. And now when we look at this, if we come in here, I click on widgets and then click on cards. We're on cards, but doesn't mean I can't open dashboard, right? As much as we're on cards. So this part of the UI is what's also mind-boggling just a bit. So if I click on level 1, level 2, level 3, I can always go back to level 1. So it's a bit of a change. And for us to actually check this out, I think I'll just go ahead and inspect this so that we can look at what's going on here. So we see this part for the menu open. Then we can see the nav link down here and the icon and everything. So every time I close it, it closes. And then obviously also the sidebar wrapper classes are also active and inactive at particular points when we're working with this. So what happens? When I click on this, the menu open doesn't even work. Like when I come in here and click on this, the menu open doesn't work anymore. So I'll come in here, inspect roles here. When I click on this, menu doesn't work. Display, not working. Well, so ideally I would expect that I'd be able to work it out through using some of the theme features. So let's actually have a look at it. Let's actually attempt to fix it. So we'll come in and we'll go ahead, we try fixing it to the components, sidebar navigation, and some of these, they're all good. If we go to new nav link drop down, some of these items over here, like menu is opening, shouldn't be there. I know for sure it's not there at all. But menu open works, which is fine. Then let's look at the theme again. So we'll go to the theme, we'll go to the pages, and then we'll open our widgets. Widgets by UI, maybe say general. We'll go to general, then we'll go to the sidebar, which is over here. You can see a side class is up, sidebar, BG body secondary, and shadow. If we were to open this inside a live server, I don't think it would open with the UI. Yeah, it wouldn't open with the UI. So it's a bit of a shambles right there. But you can see we have up sidebar. Whereas if we look inside our sidebar navigation, we have sidebar wrapper, and then we have navigation, sidebar menu, flex column, but we don't have anything to do with the app sidebar. Maybe if we check our layouts app, where we've put our sidebar navigation, should have app sidebar, BG in secondary, shadow, which is fine. I think till there we're okay. Our A tag ends there, which is okay. And this div for the sidebar brand is okay. We are good to go. So now when we move to the navigation bit, so now this means that we also have to close up this part for the brand. So I have sidebar brand, and we're going to have to close it up. I'm just going to scroll back all the way up to where we were. And this is a lot of HTML, honestly. There are quite a lot of HTML here. Okay, we have layout fixed, sidebar expand LG, BG body tertiary, which is, I think some of this is not there because this is the body. The head is all the way up here. Close the head. This is the body. Layout fixed, sidebar expand LG. And we'll come and look over here inside our app.blade. We have layout fixed, sidebar expand LG, BG body tertiary. And then we'll have the app wrapper, which if we look side by side from our app.blade.php, we have it there. Then we have the navigation menu, and this navigation menu is over here with the navigation menu.blade.php, which works. Yeah, we have the app header, navbar, navbar expand, bg body. Then we have the container fluid, then the navbar, nav, all those different things are here. Then we have the items that are arranged the way they're supposed to be arranged, like this li over here, this ul. When you close the whole thing, if we close the whole ul, we end the navigation right there after the div. Then we go to our side. Our side should be now the next part for the app sidebar. So the sidebar navigation should be in the aside. So we come here and we see the aside, where we have the class app sidebar bg, our different background over here, and then we have shadow, and then we have the data bs theme is dark, which is okay, and then we have the sidebar brand with our different text, and the image and all those different things are already set up there. And then we start placing in the last div. So once this a tag is ended over here, we have the last div, which is here. And then we have the sidebar wrapper inside our sidebar navigation. We start with the sidebar wrapper, MT2. Then after MT2 in the nav, we start with the UL. The UL, now we have the sidebar, flex column, data LTE, toggle tree view. Then role is menu, data accordion is false. Then we have the navigation item, the nav item. But we started with the nav header before we went to the nav item, so that we can maintain a certain level of uniformity. But we have this nav item. We have multiple nav items right here, which is fine. Then nav item here, menu open. So this one is now for the the UI elements, where we have, the nav link being active at this particular point here. And then we have the chevron being on the right, which is okay. So this UI is just fine. And we went down on it. We actually had it down completely. Because if we look at this nav item menu open, then nav link active and all those different things, all those items over here, nav link, and then if the route is real, active. Maybe if we remove the menu open over here is what we need to actually do. But other than that, I think we are good to go. And we have our BI icons, we have our titles, we have everything. So that's just for the nav item, and it also has a drop down. So in a case where it has a drop down, then we come in and we put nav tree view, and then inside that we'll have of course we have a style, but now this nav tree view, we don't actually need the style anywhere, because they've not put any styles in this particular part over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete the style, just leave it at nav tree view, and then the nav link, the new nav link is the one that we start with. So we have this nav item, which is supposed to start with nav item, and in a situation where the nav item is active, you can see nav link is the one that is going to be active, not nav item. So nav item, then we have nav link being active. So over here where we have nav item, we would get rid of this request over here. And this is just attempt to try and sort out these navigation items. And yeah, I think we're good to go. So let's attempt to see what goes on here. So if I click on create a supplier, can I open this? No. And it's refusing actively as well. So it's a bit of a problem right there. Yeah, so it's refusing quite a bit, and yeah, I think the navigation link is it's a bit of a struggle right there. We can see the nav header is over here. That's what we used, and in other situations, so that's okay. And we can see nav tree view is working fine. To close here, not without saving. Close saved, and close saved over here. Right, so we have to just handle this the way it is, and if we find a solution to these problems, we will get them done. Because, again, this is the first time I'm developing this, and this select value needs to also be, this select value also needs to be small. So we'll come to suppliers list, inside our resources, views, components, and then we'll come to suppliers, not components, but Livewire, suppliers, and then we'll go to create. That select input will be from select LG, needs to be changed for an empty, and save that. We'll do the same with the edit, save that. Then we'll go to the clients as well, save that. So far so good. I think we've edited all the errors that are bound to come in, and we've also added all the different things that we needed to add that we go ahead and sort things out in terms of this. So of course, now we'll refresh this and we have the banks ready. There are not so many banks that I thought there would be many. But yeah, this is essentially how we go about most of all these different things. And yeah, I think we are good to go in the light of all this. So if we come in here and try and delete this, something went wrong, of course. And if we come and try and delete this user, of course we can delete this particular user, but it says integrity constraint violation, foreign key constraint failed, delete from users where ID is equal to 2. And that's a bit of a problem right there, integrity constraint violation. So which means that if the integrity constraint violation is going to happen, it means that inside our users index, we have a problem with our deletion, right? So we'll need to first of all detach the roles and then delete. Because now it seems as though roles are always going to be attached to users no matter what. So that's fine. That's perfect. So yeah, this is essentially what we just need to do. And yeah, once you click on delete, it deletes. Now this one won't delete 100% because this user is the super admin. And now I think we're good to go. I think at this point we have edited up till the point where we are able to have many of these items, very well settled. So that's it for the video, ladies and gentlemen. This has been part 3.5 where we're editing all the errors incurred, and then also dealing with roles and permissions, and also setting up the system for clean cruise through, that we may be able to finally come up with an MVP for this product, for this particular product. We're going to be now dealing with the generation. The next thing we're going to be doing is generation of the accounting documents that we will be able to gather from different points in this particular application. So if you find that very interesting, don't forget to leave a like. Then also, again, hit subscribe so that we'll be able to, stay in tuned and stay up to date when we post a new video. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I will be seeing you off. I'll be signing off. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for learning and coding along. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. And as always, may God bless.